Okay, we are back once again. Good morning to you all. As usual, today is Thursday. We have another Champions League game that is coming on. But before we can talk about today's game, we have to give you a preview of what happened yesterday. Yes, yesterday 6 games were played, and the first games were played around 4:45 local time, and it was between Olympiacos and Paphos FC, and then Slavia Praha versus Bodo Glimt. Then around 7 o'clock, 4 games were played. That is Ajax hosting Inter Milan, Bayern Munich hosting Chelsea, Liverpool hosting Atletico de Madrid, then PSG hosting Atlanta. And the games were very interesting. First of all, between Olympiacos and Paphos FC, it ended 0-0 in a draw. Then a red card was shown to Paphos FC player on the 26th minute. But since then, Olympiacos couldn't capitalize on the one man down to win the game. Paphos FC did what they are supposed to do to hold on to a goalless draw. Then in Slavia Praha, the game ended 2-2. In fact, Slavia Praha took the lead in the 23rd minute and then scored their second goal in the 74th minute. But in the 78th and then in 90th minute, they allowed Bodo Glimt to equalize and then ended the game in a 2-2 draw. Then moving on to the game between Ajax and Inter Milan. Inter Milan shows that yes, they are giants in the Champions League. When it comes to playing the Champions League, they know how to play it. They travel all the way from Italy to Holland, and then at the backyard of Johan Cruyff Arena, they defeated Ajax Amsterdam 2-0. Both goals were scored by Marcus Thuram. In the 42nd and then 47th minute, he scored both goals in the first half for Inter Milan. So by the end of the proceedings, the 90th minute, Inter Milan won the game by 2-0. The next game that was played was also between Bayern Munich and Chelsea. So at the Allianz Arena, the game ended 3-1 in favor of Bayern Munich. Harry Kane scored 2 goals and then one own goal from Chelsea. Then Cole Palmer scored a goal in the 29th minute, making it 3-1. And as usual, looking at the head-to-head stat, yes, it shows clearly that Bayern Munich is stronger than Chelsea. Anytime that they meet, it's either a win for Bayern Munich or the game ending in a draw. But here, Chelsea, that we are expecting to be a giant killer, couldn't do what they usually do by killing or bringing giants down. They were unable to do that against Bayern Munich yesterday. And in fact, in their last 3 games, they've drawn 2 and then losing 1. So the loss that was yesterday to Bayern Munich. Then elsewhere in Anfield, also Atletico Madrid lost to Liverpool 3-2. They lost to Liverpool 3-2. And in fact, when they started the game in the first 6 minutes, Atletico Madrid has conceded 2 goals. The first goal from Robertson, and then the second goal scored by Mohamed Salah. Then in the 45th minute and then in the 81st minute, Atletico Madrid equalized in the 45th minute in the first half. They scored one, making it 2-1. And then also in the second half, on the 81st minute, they equalized, making it 2-2. But we don't know what happened. They allowed Virgil van Dijk to also score the goal on the 92nd minute to end the game 3-2 in favor of Liverpool, ending the game 3-2 in favor of Liverpool. Yeah, so that is how the game ended, and that means the head-to-head start here now goes to 3 wins for Liverpool, 1 draw, and then 2 wins for Atletico de Madrid. We now move on to the game that was also played in France, a game between PSG and Atalanta. The game ended 4-0 in favor of Paris Saint-Germain. As usual, with their current form and then their style of play, is very difficult to play against PSG, most especially when they are playing in their own backyard. When they are playing at the Parc des Princes, it's not easy with this current form and style of play for you to stand chance of even drawing a game in the hands of Paris Saint-Germain. The first goal came on the 3rd minute by Marquinhos, and then Kvaratskhelia scored the second goal on the 39th minute. Then Nuno Mendes added one, making it 3-0 on the 51st minute, and then Gonzalo Ramos also added one to make it 4-0 on the 91st minute. That is 90 plus 1 minute, making it 4-0 against Atalanta. And then this make the head-to-head start, moving on to 2 wins for Paris Saint-Germain, 0 draws and 0 wins for Atalanta. 0 wins for Atalanta. So the games that were played in the Champions League yesterday, this is how it ended. Once again, the game that were played around 4:45 local time between Olympiacos and Paphos FC ended in 0-0 draw. And then Slavia Praha versus Bodo Glimt also ended in 2-2. Then 7 o'clock, the remaining 4 games that were played at 7 o'clock. Also between Ajax and Inter, it was 2-0 for Inter, their away team. And then between Bayern Munich and Chelsea, the game ended 3-1 in favor of Bayern Munich. And then Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid, the game ended 3-2 in favor of Atletico de Madrid. Then Paris Saint-Germain versus Atalanta, the game ended 4-0 in favor of Paris Saint-Germain. So now we move on to today's game. So in today's game, we are going to see a game between Club Brugge and Monaco. Then Copenhagen versus Leverkusen, Frankfurt versus Galatasaray, Man City versus Napoli. Yes, the return of Kevin De Bruyne back to the Etihad Stadium. The return of Kevin De Bruyne. So yes, Kevin De Bruyne is going back to Etihad, and this time around, not to play for Man City, but to play against them, his former club. Yes, and then Newcastle playing against Barcelona. It's Newcastle that is playing at home. Then the last game will be Sporting CP playing against Kairat Almaty of Kazakhstan. So let's take a quick look into the games. Yes, so a quick look into the games between Club Brugge and Monaco. They've played a total of one game, a total of 2 games rather. A total of 2 games, and then 1 win for Club Brugge, and then 1 ending in a draw. 0 win for AS Monaco. Yeah, so looking at this head-to-head start, normally you might think that Club Brugge might be ahead of AS Monaco, but the current form will determine who wins today's game. If you go into the French League 1, Monaco sits third with 9 points. In the French League 1. And then with the Club Brugge, yes, in their own league, where do they sit in their own league? Club Brugge Club Brugge in their own league, yes, normally they are winning. I mean, they are the one leading in their league. So between the two teams, Club Brugge and then AS Monaco, their strength is on equal level. So those of you who play games behind the games know how to go into the game. Of course, the setup for Club Brugge will be 4-3-2-1. 4-3-2-1, that is the setup. And then from AS Monaco is going to be 4-4-2. It's going to be 4-4-2. Yeah, so let's see who wins today's game. Then the game that will be played between Copenhagen, FC Copenhagen versus Bayern Leverkusen. Bayern Leverkusen. Yeah, with these two teams, it's 3 games played between them. 3 wins for Leverkusen, 0 win for Copenhagen, and then 0 draws. Yes, 0 draws. So looking at the head-to-head, how Leverkusen is stronger than FC Copenhagen, definitely you should know what is going to happen. But sometimes current form also play a game. Whoever thought that a team can travel all the way to Benfica to defeat Benfica on Tuesday? If you remember the game that was played between Union St. Gilloise, between PSV Eindhoven, in terms of quality in Europe, PSV Eindhoven is far ahead of Union St. Gilloise, but they sat at home and allow this team to beat them. And then also a game that was played between Qarabağ FK and then Benfica. Qarabağ FK won the game 3-0. So sometimes the unthinkable happens. Sometimes the unthinkable happens in football. The unthinkable happens in football. So looking at today's game between Copenhagen and Bayern Leverkusen yes, sometimes you might think that Bayer Leverkusen might carry the day, but football is now changing. Football is now changing, so you can't tell. In terms of strength, in terms of head-to-head start, yes, Leverkusen is ahead of Copenhagen, but this is a game. Anything can happen. The surprises that we saw on Wednesday and then even on Tuesday, there is a possibility for us to see another surprise in today's game. So if it ended that Leverkusen ended up losing the game, I won't be surprised, because Copenhagen is the home team. But let me tell you, the head-to-head start here is in favor of Leverkusen. We now move on to Frankfurt and Galatasaray. Frankfurt and Galatasaray, and in fact, this is the first time both teams meeting each other. This is the first time both teams playing against each other in all competition. This is the first time. So as usual, we can't say much about who is going to carry the day. But in the Turkish league, Galatasaray sits top with 15 points. They've played a total of 5 games. Yes, they've played a total of 5 games, and then in their last 5 games, they've won all the 5 games. Yes, they've won all the 5 games, having 15 points. And then also looking at Eintracht Frankfurt. Looking at Eintracht Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. Where do they sit? Yes, they too sit on the 5th position with 6 points. Eintracht Frankfurt. So they've played a total of 3 games, winning 2 and losing 1. So this is the current form between Eintracht Frankfurt and Galatasaray. And like I said, this is the first time both teams meeting each other on European soil. So that is it. Then the next game that will be played is between Man City and Napoli. So the Man City and Napoli game, yeah, The head-to-head stat here shows that they've played a total of 4 games, 2 wins for Man City, 1 win for Napoli, and then 1 ending in a draw. And in fact, this is the return of Kevin De Bruyne going back to the Etihad Sports Stadium. So today's game is going to be a tough game. And then remember, Antonio Conte has coached in England before, so he knows the style of Pep Guardiola. So going into this game is going to be a tactical game. So how is Guardiola going to set up his team, and how is Antonio Conte also going to set up his team? That will determine who carries the day. And in fact, they have some wonderful players that can change the game within a twinkle of an eye. So as you are going into this game, just relax, stay calm, and then enjoy the show. Yes, we know that with Man City they have qualities, but don't doubt the ability of Antonio Conte, what he can do. He is a crazy coach. He's one of the crazy coaches. So we are going to enjoy a wonderful game tonight. Then also, there is going to be a game between Newcastle and Barcelona at the St. James Park. And in fact, this is the first time Newcastle and Barcelona locking horns in all competition. They've never played any game. Between the two. So this is the first time they are playing. So when it comes to the head-to-head, we don't have anything to say about the head-to-head. And looking at this game, most people might think that yes, Barcelona is far ahead of Newcastle. But like I said, this is football. Sometimes what you don't expect happened. And Newcastle is playing at home. And remember, with the English team, they play a quick counter-attack. Yes, Barcelona, in terms of current form, yes, they are far ahead of Newcastle. When you look into the La Liga, Barcelona sits second with 10 points. And then with Newcastle with their current form, where do they sit in the Premiership? With their current form, Newcastle sits on the 10th position with 5 points. So with today's game, there is a current form between the two. Barcelona is second on the La Liga table. Newcastle is 10th on the Premiership. So if you are to look at this current form, then obviously Barcelona is ahead of Newcastle. But this is a game. This is a football. Anything can happen in football. So these are the two big games that will be played in today's Champions League. That is between Man City and Napoli, and then also Newcastle and Barcelona. Then the last game will be between Sporting CP and Kiryat Almaty. And in fact, this is also their first time playing each other on European night. This is the first time playing each other in the Champions League. This is the first time. And then if you are to look at the current form for Kiryat Almaty, they have 49 points, sitting first in the Kazakhstan League. So they are the one leading with 49 points. And then also with Sporting CP in the Portuguese league, yes, they sit second. Yes, second on the table. So looking at these two teams with their current form, yes, it tells you that they have equal strength. Yeah, but if you talk about Kazakhstan and then Portugal, the Portuguese league is far ahead of Kazakhstan league. So definitely we are expecting Sporting CP to carry the day. But mind you, this is football. The unthinkable can happen. This is football. The unthinkable can happen. Yes, so if Union St. Gilloise travel all the way to Johan Cruyff Stadium to defeat PSV Eindhoven, and Karabakh FC also did same against Benfica, then don't be surprised to see Kiryat Almaty also doing same against Sporting CP. So this is what we have for you for today's game that is coming on. Let's cross our fingers and then sit back behind our screen and then watch the game. Then after tomorrow in the morning, we'll bring you an update as to what happened in today's game. Then we'll also talk about the games that will be played in various leagues. Some of them will play tomorrow in the evening. Then those that will play on Saturday, will bring you also a preview and then some analysis on Saturday. Then on Sunday too, we'll continue with the game. Then on Monday, we'll talk about those who played on Sunday. So once again, my name is Richmond Kofi Bedun Anadebra. You can catch me live at Rich K Media on my YouTube page. So once again, thank you for joining, and then we'll meet again.